This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 of Hot Mike, ready to rock and roll on this Friday morning. Got some stone cold picks with my dad coming up before we wrap up the show. Get ready for Game 3 of the Wolves and the Nuggets as well, along on our second hour today. We always do something football-related on Friday. I don't care if it's the middle of May, and I'm super pumped for our next guest who's getting thrown into the Hornets' nest because we got realignment happening on a Friday, but one of my all-time favorite interviews that we ever get a chance to, and now he's big time in the MAC. Kody Morgan joins us, former Bison assistant. Earlier this week, he was named defensive coordinator at Kent State, the Golden Flashes, in his second year with that program and coaching in Maction. Another coach joining us, we have to say, from points unknown, like the Ultimate Warrior, because you're out recruiting. How's it going, man? Congratulations on the promotion.
I appreciate it, Dom. Yeah, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. You know, we're out here uncovering the diamonds in the rough, as I always say, out here recruiting. So make sure nobody knows where I'm at right now, so that way I can remain anonymous as we pursue the next great Golden Flash. So we're trying to uncover these guys.
All right,
it's been good.
I got to throw it at you here. You've been to Missouri State many a time. Are you surprised with the news today they're going to move up and join Conference USA?
You know, it's funny. I was laughing because I was scrolling through Twitter before I jumped on here. I was like, I knew this was going to come up as a topic of conversation today for sure. But yeah, being in that league, you know, I would say that it shocked me. But then as I'm sitting there thinking about it, like everybody's making the jump and a lot of teams are making the move. So it's kind of the new normal, I guess, if you will. Was I shocked about Missouri State? Yeah, I am a little bit, but their location probably helps them a little bit too. Like you can't be naive to all that's going on with it as well. I mean, there's definitely that part that plays a fact into it, but nobody wants to play the Bison, I don't think.
Yeah, and Springfield's a great town. I love Springfield's one of the better cities in the Valley. That's the part I'm more upset about than anything. You're losing a pretty good locale to go to.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. There's some different destinations in the Valley that probably are less desirable than Springfield.
There's no doubt about it. Tell me about the MAC. Kent State, when the job opening came, why was this appealing when you left, over a year and a half ago now?
Yeah, you know, it was an exciting opportunity to be able to make the jump myself, too. I think there's always part of that is always interested to see kind of what's at that level and what it's really like. So that was definitely part of it. And then Coach Burns, I got a chance to meet Kenny, obviously, numerous times, being at different programs, working at camp up there. So I kind of knew what Kenny was all about. And when he kind of approached me with all that stuff, it was kind of just the perfect storm, and everything kind of fell into place for the job to kind of happen. And, you know, excited about it. We didn't have as great a year this last year, obviously, as everybody can see when they look at our record. But year one, taking over a program is definitely a unique challenge in the landscape of college football. Just with the transfer portal and how all that works together, it's definitely providing new challenges taking over a program. But it's been a fun ride. You already mentioned Maction, Tuesday and Wednesday nights. You know, I hope the people got to tune in and watch us play against. We call them the school down the road because Akron's our big rival. It's like less than 15 minutes away, I think, from stadium.
Is that right? I did not know it's that close. Okay.
Yeah, it's very, very close, close proximity. So the rivalry, you know, obviously being a part of rivalry games up there, playing South Dakota State, it's a heated rivalry. But, you know, here it's even more heated because they come to every single basketball game. Our players go to all their basketball games, and like every single sporting event is just absolutely cranked up because these kids are so close in proximity together. So it's a little bit unique from that standpoint, but it was a different perspective, you know, going through Maction, but a lot of fun. You know, I was in charge of the punt team. We got a nice punt fake ran in that game, got a chance to get a big first down. So we had some fun in that game. Didn't come out on top, but it was a good game and a good battle as always.
Let me just rip the Band-Aid off. What is it like to play on a Tuesday and a Wednesday? When do you start and prep then? How messed up is it?
Yeah, you know, I really thought from the outside looking in that it was going to be this huge change, and oh my gosh, how are we going to handle doing this?
Right.
But how the schedule always gets set up is you always have a Saturday off before you get into that week.
Okay.
So it's essentially a bye week. You have a bye week, so then you get 10 days of prep or 9 days of prep before you play on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and then you're on that cycle. So all you have to do is flip your brain. Like Coach Burns does an excellent job. He gives us the schedule, but then it says, it'll say the actual date, and it'll say Monday. Hey, we're treating this like a Monday. This is our Tuesday. This is our Wednesday. So as a coach, you find a rhythm really quickly. It's not as like difficult as you might think, like where an NFL team has to make those quick turnarounds and do that stuff. They always take care of us in terms of scheduling, so you have that big break before you got to dive in, and then you're on to Tuesday, Wednesday, and you're playing, that schedule through the month of November. So it works out quite nicely, honestly.
Did it seem weird at all that you're playing? Okay, it's Wednesday night. We're playing football.
It did a little bit, but honestly, as a coach, when you get into like the weekly schedule and how you're doing things, it's like, okay, this is just Saturday for us now, and our typical normal Saturday, and this is our routine, and that's where we go. So it doesn't really come down like that. My parents are retired, so they were able like to come to all those games, and they were fired up about it. And then obviously getting a chance to be on the highest level of national TV is obviously pretty cool too from that standpoint. But it doesn't really jack you up as much as I would have thought, because I would have going in and I was like, man, this could be a big change, but it really isn't, honestly.
You had a chance. You played last year in the SEC against Arkansas. Tell me about that environment. What that was like?
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was a fun one. Definitely memorable.
Yeah.
The woo pig suey chant, and you come into the stadium and they're all booing you to start off the game, and it was a crazy environment. But I was doing a lot of special team stuff, working with the kickers and the punters, much like I was doing up at NDSU. So I was worried going into the game, like, hey, this is a grass field. We got to get used to kicking on grass. So we were doing all that prep work going in. And when we got there, I'm walking around the field. I'm like, this is the most immaculate field I've ever seen in my entire life. I was like, this is better than some of the field turf fields we play on. So the kickers were kind of laughing as I'm walking around. I was like, guys, this is going to be the best kicking surface you've kicked off of in your career. I mean, it was like a green out there.
Wow.
And people are out there, they take care of it. And yeah, it was a cool environment. I honestly, no offense, I hope there's no Arkansas fans out here going to boo me off here, but I thought it would have been louder.
Yeah.
Honestly. But I guess I'm also used to being in the dome where it's like, it's so loud in the dome that
I'll caution that, because your road trips this year are Knoxville and State College. So you're stepping it up with Tennessee and Penn State this year.
We got a work cut out for us going to those places. But talk about an opportunity.
Yeah.
Our guys are obviously fired up. For the first game we play at Pitt, then we get to go to Penn State, then we get to go to Tennessee. It's a cool deal that you get to do all that stuff. And funny side story. So Penn State's offensive coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki. So Andy helped hire me for my first job at the University of Mary, where I crossed paths with him. So he helped me to get my first job, so I'll be calling defense against him there in Happy Valley, Penn State. It's gonna be loud, it's gonna be crazy, but I know it will be a fun environment. It'll be a good game for our guys.
You're worried about the game and getting the players, but will you take a moment walking around in each of those, like, okay, this is where I've worked at. I've wanted to get to this spot, and now I'm coaching in the SEC and the Big Ten environment.
Yeah, maybe for a little bit. Yeah. Maybe when we first get there, walk around and take a peek as I kind of walk the field and go through my process before the game and all that. But then after that, it's like, hey, we got to get to work, and say, guess what? The field's 120 yards long and 53 and a third wide, just like everywhere else. And we got to go compete. So we got to get our guys ready to go play really fast.
All right. On the flip side, though, you did play this past year at Eastern Michigan. They have a gray football field. You've seen the red one. I know you've been to Eastern Washington. So where does the gray turf at Eastern Michigan rank for you?
Yeah, the Inferno. We didn't get a chance to go to Central Arkansas when I was there, because they had the stripes, different colors there. So yeah, the old factory up there was and the one part about it was we played there, and it was a dark and gloomy, cloudy, rainy day. And I don't know if you got a chance to see the opening kickoff, but we had a little bit of a mishap on the opening kickoff, because we had a surprise onside dialed up, and we should have recovered it. We were all over it, 100% on board with going to get this thing. And then the ball squirts out. They picked it up. They ended up returning it for a touchdown. But so we got off to a lackadaisical start from that standpoint. But it was a good experience. It's not as exciting as probably the red turf, but it really doesn't mess with you as much, if that makes any sense. Like, the red turf is just so different, right? You go out there in the Inferno, you're like, man, this is way different. But the gray turf isn't it's not that big of a difference that it's even really noticeable, honestly.
Were you surprised the promotion came? Was it something you were pining for? Tell us about that, about being promoted to DC for the upcoming year.
Yeah, it was always something that I had wanted to work towards. It was always a goal of mine. When I first got into this coaching profession, I really thought that I wanted to be a head football coach. Like I think that was what everybody kind of thinks. Like you get in this profession, you want to climb a ladder, you want to run your own program, and I really used to think that way until now. I've been around some really good head coaches and seen the stuff that they have to do outside of just football. So I kind of had changed my tune a little bit probably during my time at NDSU. I was like, man, I really want to be a coordinator.
Mm.
And, up there, I was helping on the offensive side of the ball,
Yeah.
My first 2 years. So I was like, okay, I think that might be my path. And then had the opportunity to move to the defensive side. So then I was like, always trying to get that opportunity to be a coordinator. So when the opportunity presented itself, I was obviously ecstatic. We didn't know exactly how it was all going to work out here. So it was a little bit of a surprise, how everything went down. But had a chance to go through the interview process and go through all that, which was really, really good. And, it came down to familiarity. Honestly, we wanted to keep a lot of the things in place. And as you know, in college football, with everything changing so much, sometimes it's nice to have a little continuity and being able to move things forward. So I was shocked and surprised a little bit, but at the same time, my relationship with Coach Burns, with Kenny, has been really, really good and been great. And he's given me some awesome feedback, and I've been able to take his advice and apply it and become a better coach and a better recruiter and a better mentor and all that stuff too. So
we just had last week, we had one of your guys, Jaden Price, who got signed by the Falcons. He's down there this week for rookie camp. He's set now the school record, Kody. I'm sure you saw, for punt return touchdowns. What made him such a really dynamic player, both in the secondary and on special teams?
Definitely fearless. Like if you had to tell me one word, that kid was fearless back there as a returner. I mean, there's a lot of those times where, I was helping with the punt return unit. You remember me banging on the glass, we scored a touchdown. I was all juiced up and fired up for him to be able to do those opportunities. But, he was back there, and like there was a lot of balls he probably shouldn't have returned, honestly. Like if you're looking at it from a coach's perspective, like do not catch that ball, fair catch, and let's move on. But he was just one of those guys, like, this is my opportunity and I'm going to capitalize. And once he had the ball in his hands, he was electric with it and fearless as a return guy. On the defensive side of the ball, I think what made him really successful was he was a really big student of the game. I mean, there was a lot of times I had to chase him out of the offices up there when I was there during my time at NDSU, and just from him just studying and watching film and taking notes. And man, he was on top of all that stuff to the point where nothing really surprised him or shocked him. And he was able to be really, really successful. And I wish nothing but the best for him, with all that stuff that's going down now, with a few guys getting their shots in the NFL, which is awesome.
It's a couple years removed. Are there some younger guys that Bison fans should know about in the secondary cornerback you recruited that might get a chance now to play this year that you know of?
Man, that's a great question. Honestly, I can't remember. I know. Was it Raja Nelson's little brother?
Najee, yep.
I remember being a part of that recruiting process a little bit. And I know he got to play this year a little bit.
He did. Got an interception against Southern Illinois this year. So,
so cut his teeth a little bit. So I remember him specifically. Just that's the only guy I could pop on top of my head from the recruiting process I really remember. But we were there with Sam Young, and watching Sam grow up and start to play and earn his opportunities, pretty exciting. And then I know that they moved that freak show from linebacker back there to safety, and he had a heck of a year.
He was pretty good. So, yeah, he's all right.
It really, I don't know if it mattered where they play. I think it put that kid at D end. I think he would have some production there. That's how good of a player he is.
Was there a guy you coached like, holy cow, he's not of this level. He should be playing at a higher level? Who comes to mind when I say that to you?
Okay, you're saying at North Dakota State?
Yes. Yep.
Man, there's a lot that pop into my mind, honestly. Like the first one this one maybe surprise you, but Derek Tuska.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me. He's playing in the NFL, man. He was really good.
Because I just remember, like, I was there for him when he was a puppy and watching him grow up. And, he was there with Greg Menard. And it was like, Greg was obviously this great player. And we're like, Derek Tuska, he's down there on the young guy on the twos field and battling his way and everything. But then, towards the end of it, Logan McCormick was there and Derek Tuska, and like Derek was just such a pro. Like, man, he was good. But, he didn't have the prototypical size, I don't think, that everybody was looking for. But man, he was a good player.
It's a good one. That's a good answer.
Definitely one. Definitely one off the beaten path a little bit.
There's another. So another Wisconsin guy running things now with Tim Polasek. Tell me, was the trash talking there with Stevens Point, Oshkosh, Eau Claire, Whitewater? What was that like in the coaching offices with you guys, with all you Wisconsin guys?
It's funny, like everybody being from that same conference and everybody kind of being from Wisconsin, like it didn't really come up that much from like a trash talking perspective, but everybody, you got a couple blue golds in there from Eau Claire that got a lot of pride. I obviously graduated from Point, Polisek played at Concordia.
Yep.
And so if you ever talk to him, he'll make sure he mentions his, he's in the Hall of Fame there. He'll make sure it's well known that he's in there. But it didn't really come up that much as trash talk, but it was a lot of fun to, reminisce and talk about that. It's such a great Division III football league that I think is a little under the radar, that not a lot of people, the people that are in Division III really know a lot about it because of a really good team comes out of there and does some damage in the playoffs. But now it's kind of like everybody else is doing some things, and Mary Hardin Baylor and North Central now are playing really good. So, but it was fun. Tim spent a lot of time coaching at Stevens Point too. So he actually coached my brother when he was up there.
I didn't know that.
So he coached my brother, and so I'm 4 years younger than my brother.
Okay.
So I would go up there to watch practices from time to time. But Tim was up on the scissors lift with a megaphone during special teams drills, and he was yelling at people and coaching. And Tim, obviously, I think everybody on here knows Coach Polisek and what he's all about. So that was that. But then, my other connection with Tim was my Little League baseball coach too. And I know I've talked about that, but the way he coaches college football, it was not different as a 10-year-old Little Leaguer. We were running wind sprints and we were dialed in, and I didn't know any better, so I was like, okay, sure, I'll do that. Whatever you ask.
That's fantastic. Is Iola, Wisconsin, is that the cradle of coaches in the entire country with the three of you, with Gazer as well? Is that the cradle of college football?
Man, there is a lot of college football coaches that have come out of Iola, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So when you say that, though, you do have to say Iola, Scandinavia.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes.
And I know, because if Goose or Polisek, if they're listening, they'll get upset because they're from Scandinavia, and that's they consider that a different world of the Twin Cities of Iola, Scandinavia, going down there. But yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of college coaches that have come out of there in the network, and I attribute that to our head football coach there, Scott Erickson, who's been there for a long time now. He's just done an unbelievable job of developing, players, and some of them went on to really, high levels, like Austin Lane played at Murray State. Christian Welch ended up going to play at Iowa. And then, also just developing a love for the game, or guys that don't go, like I was a Division III guy, and, obviously didn't get a chance to go play in the NFL or anything like that, but then have a chance to kind of give back and get back into the coaching profession to stay around the game for sure.
Hard-hitting question before we go. Viewers want to know, are you going to take full responsibility for stealing my potato chips in Macomb, Illinois 2 years ago? We need to know. I was all set. I blamed Lewis. I blasted Lou Walker, and then I found out you took them. Unbelievable.
Well, I'll say that I'm really not sure what happened that fateful day in Macomb, Illinois. I still cannot confirm or deny who took the potato chips and who actually consumed them up there. What I will say is that was the windiest game I ever.
Oh God, yes.
We were trying to kick the ball off into the wind. We were pounding it on the ground, but yeah, you're stuffed up in there in that press box. Anything can happen in Macomb now. You're stuck in that press box, and you better safeguard your stuff.
Evidently, I did. I went downstairs. I went on the field. I come up. The chips are open. I'm ready. I'm like, what's going on? And I find out 2 days later it was you. Unbelievable.
Hey, I don't know for sure who it was. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I had some chips. I'm not sure if they were yours or if they were mine, or better yet, you might have to ask those guys from Western Illinois.
All right. You know what?
I don't know.
Well, we're not going back to Macomb anytime soon, so I guess it's going to be a mystery. Unsolved mystery is the best way to say it.
But Coach Hentz did say he was going to buy you a bag.
He did. I did get some reparations after on the following Monday on that. It's great to see you, man. Congratulations on the promotion. Have a great summer. Hopefully you get a couple weeks off, and we'll do this again down the road, okay?
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes. Kody Morgan, newly named defensive coordinator at Kent State University in the MAC. They open up the season they got a heck of a schedule to open up. They mentioned they got Tennessee, They got Pitt to open and also Penn State as part of the 2024 schedule. Good stuff there. We're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up on a couple emails. Don't forget, my Pops coming up in about 10 minutes as well. Hot Mike rolls on. We're back after this.